Hey, how's it going? Sean Tech here. Welcome back to the show. I've actually got some pieces of electronic equipment to show you, if you will. So I have something that I bought a long time ago. This right here on screen is a portable battery charger, is what it is. For cell phones and whatnot. So it's one of the things you might be able to see if you look at that. If there's a little USB port, there's a micro USB port that this thing plugs into. And according to the specs on this, again, I'm not specific to any brand or anything like that. So any kind of branding or anything like that goes to model G0398 DC. So it's got a 5-volt output with an output of about 1,000 milliamps. That's really this is a really small output generator. Is essentially what it is. 4,000 milliamp hours. This might be essentially at very most, a simple phone charger, for just one phone. This thing might literally get all of its charge out in just one charge. Well, anyway, so I had a small accident with it, and part of the lid actually came. Wow, that's bright. Part of the lid actually came off with it, and I thought, well, this might be kind of an interesting time to be able to see kind of what's on the inside of it, to actually look on the inside of one of these portable battery chargers. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of use my fingers here and wedge this open. So the one end, this end basically, this end of it over here basically just popped right off, and it snaps right back onto it. So before I put it back together again, and this is a very what I would call a cheap thing. I mean, I probably paid it at most maybe $20, maybe at most, and that doesn't even sound right. So okay, so I'm pulling the whole thing out. So now the case is off of the part of it here, and some of the stuff that I can see on the inside of this is actually pretty simple. There's almost not much to this really. And this thing has had a problem, which I might be able to demonstrate here in just a little bit. So you've got the main big piece to the whole thing is this large piece of battery. Is this just Kapton tape? Is this just Kapton tape? That's interesting. We'll look at that here in just a little bit. So there's some of the information about the lithium-ion charger. You notice that it's 3.7 volts. So 3.7 volts is a common voltage that you'll find in a lithium-ion battery pack. And normally there's some sort of a circuitry on the inside to be able to create a 5-volt output out of this. I've actually looked into this a little bit myself because I've wanted to build one of these on my own, so I know a little bit about this. And so here is the USB port that a wire plugs into, say, if you want to charge a cell phone. This is the port that you plug it into. This right here is the micro USB port, and one of the things that I actually kind of find interesting, if I'm looking at this right, is that little white area that's here. So that's the silk screen. That's blocking contact with this. So the other areas, the ones that are over here and the one that's kind of on this side of it right there, those are actual joints for the power connections, and I believe those two pins right there represent the data transmission pins for the USB connector. So those pins wouldn't be connected to anything anyway. You wouldn't want them connected to anything. The last thing you want to do is send high power through a data pin connection. I just find it kind of odd that they're not connected to anything. They're not actually connected up. They're not physically helping it holding it in place. They're more or less just floating there. Those two pins are. So that's kind of weird, but that is kind of what that is. You've got a capacitor. You've got a couple more capacitors. You've got the large red wire here, which appears to just be, that really is just sort of taped down to that spot there. So the battery itself has two wires coming out of it. What appear to be labeled on this board here as a B+ is one of them, and then I saw on the other side B-. So there's where the solder joint goes to from the battery down to the board. So this black wire right here must connect up to the battery somewhere underneath here, and then have this little guy go all the way down to this part of it right here, and it kind of just gets tucked in. But man, that is they're stopping this from hitting the metal case. The only thing that's blocking the battery from shorting out to what is clearly like maybe an aluminum case of some sort is just a couple pieces of tape. Quality. All right. So, yeah. So this little guy right there, this little can thing, I can see, I don't know, I'm going to turn this just a little bit there. That says L1 is what that is. Now, L is for an inductor, so there's got to be some sort of an inductor, which is usually, I would say it's normally a protection part of the circuit, but it might be part of something else, something more timing related as well. That's one piece I'm not sure of. Now, you got one chip, so that's all the part. This is the one chip that runs the whole thing. Now, normally speaking, the chip, and I'm going to focus in a little bit better on there. Obviously, my camera is a little bit different than the lenses here, which they're, okay, so now that's all focused. So this chip that's here kind of performs a multitude of functions. It's a microcontroller chip, and it's a basic one. Inside of it is some technology that does a few things. One, the battery is 3.7 volts. It's got to have a way of basically changing it and regulating it up around 5 volts so that a common smartphone will be able to charge. That's just how all common electronic products that plug into USB charge, if you will, with a 5-volt connection. Everything from smartphones, tablets, to headphones, all the rest of that stuff, like AirPods, for instance, like the one that I'm wearing in my ear right now, because my regular headphones just don't seem to want to work. So hopefully, if this does sound a little bit different, that's because I'm using a different pair of headphones right now. My apologies for that. But the other thing that it does is it creates some communication back with your phone. It basically establishes I am connected up to a charging circuit, so almost like a chip that's like protecting the phone from having like data accidentally power connected up to any kind of data connections. It figures out also, it basically is a communication device to tell a communication system like a tablet or a smartphone that it is connected up to a powered device of some sort. So there's a little bit of both of those connected up together into here. But if anything, this one's at least just a converter that converts 3 volts into 5 volts, and may or may not be communicating back. I'm not quite sure, because now that I'm actually looking at the USB, well, yeah, all 4 USB connections are there, so there might be some connection to it. I just don't see any traces back to it. You know, I see a lot of things happening to these vias here, and I highly doubt that this is an advanced circuit board. I see a large power connection to it underneath there. Maybe there is some connections underneath it. I'd have to, actually lift it up and take a closer look at it here. The power button, that's what this guy is right here. There is a little power button on this side here where I can push this guy in, and it will tell me how much power this has. Now, obviously, right now it says I've got a whole bunch of power from these 4 LEDs that are lighting up here. The chibi thing about this is that I believe with this power button pushed in all the way, let me sneeze on camera right there for you, thank you very much, in a closed environment, everything like that. My allergies are a big thing right now. I must be allergic to this button at the moment. That must be what's happening. So anyway, this button right now is stuck, and it's pushing this button on right now. So I'm going to push this button in, and if I let it just sit there, it just all this button is doing is monitoring how much power this thing is actually fully charged up to, which that chip might actually have something to do with it as well, to be perfectly honest with you. But in order to get this to actually charge up again, I have to kind of pop in here and sort of pop the button back out again. So I can't ever really tell how much power it is. The power button, or like the test button that's on here that tells me how much power I've actually gotten, doesn't actually work, because the mechanics behind it, and now that I'm noticing it, I might be missing some sort of a spring-based mechanism back here somewhere. It's a little bit tough to tell, but I might be missing something. I can't honestly tell. But yeah, that button that button, what that button is supposed to do is when that button gets pushed all the way in like that, is supposed to tell me how much power that I've got for just a brief period of time, which might be what this inductor is actually for, is just keeping the LEDs on for a certain period of time. There must be like a charge circuit or timing circuit of some sort in here that keeps this on because right now the button is not pressed down. So if I for instance hit the button once, now all the LEDs are on. I'm gonna make sure that the button is pushed back so that there's an air gap between there, and these guys are gonna stay on for a short period of time. And that might be another functionality of the IC chip that's here. But the silly thing, the silly honest to goodness thing, is that the only thing protecting the outside part of this circuit, I mean, like, that looks like foil or tabs or something like that, has been soldered to a wire. This is very much looking like it's some sort of a hand solder job of some sort, or maybe hot air. I don't know. This is professionally made. Oh, there's another piece underneath there too. That must be protecting the battery. My charger is held together by Kapton tape. Is that common? Does that happen? Is that a thing? Must be a thing. Has to be a thing, right? I don't know. It's got to be a little bit of a thing with that on there. Very, very unique to it. But yeah, that's the overall. Press the button one more time just so you can all see. And now it's stuck. So now I gotta pop it back out again, which I can't actually do from the outside. So boy, that's bright. The only way that I can actually do anything with this for the first time is actually to unpop the button, is to go like that. And I'm pretty sure that it doesn't let me charge while the button is actually pressed down. So it's when you're buying these battery packs, probably don't buy the cheapy ones. The last thing you want to do is wreck anything on the inside of your phone. Not saying this brand in particular or anything like that, but just watch out what you buy. Buy something of quality. Buy something that's not taped together. Maybe might be the best way to phrase what I'm talking about here. So anyway, a little bit of a trip on the inside of a portable battery charging unit. Do you have other things in your house that you'd like me to look at? Let me know in the comments down below or anything like that. And we will see you on the next episode. All right, see you later. Bye.